Hello! As you can tell by the title of my video and my intro, I'm going to be building a go-kart. For any of you that have watched my previous videos of building my homemade tools, I designed and built those specifically so I could build go-karts and mini bikes, maybe. It's something I wanted to do when I was a kid and I never got a chance to do it, so I'm doing it before I get any older. So, here we go. Alright, I got some plans here because I don't like to fly by the seat of my pants. When I build tools, I like to have a plan. So I started designing kart frames on SketchUp about 6 years ago, and now I have about 30 different frame designs. And I just decided to choose the one that I thought might be the easiest to build, which actually was like the first one that looked halfway decent. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm just going to follow my plans and hopefully this works. Alright, I'm going to start on one of the pieces I think is the easiest. It's just two 90-degree bends on the same plane. Alright, I'm going to find my middle first and work my way out from there. Alright, I'm going to use my locking collars to set my distance from the center out to where my bend is going to start. And I flat spotted these, so if you can see that. And they're flat spotted on both sides, so when I lay them like that and I put them on both ends, they're indexed the same. That way I can flip the tube around and hopefully both the bends will end up on the same plane and not be crooked to each other. If I put the right side up. Okay, made two sets of these clamps so I can hopefully book match both of these and they'll turn out the same. We're not going to know that until we bend them. Make my lifter for that thing. Okay, so for any of you that watched my previous videos of me building this bending machine, you're probably wondering what this is. This is just a lock to hold this locking collar tight to the die. Because without it, this locking collar wants to walk away from the face. The tube wants to go straight and the die wants to turn, and that just doesn't stay flat. So that was my solution. It was not elegant, but it did the job. This is just a visual to show you what's happening without that lock. It needs to stay like that, nice and flat to the front, and without it, it just walks out. Alright, this is real world test number 1, because I've never used this for anything yet. This has just been tested. We're going to find out if it actually does the thing that I need it to do. I'm going to use a digital angle finder. I'm just going to stick it right on the die and see if we get 90 degrees out of it. Alright, before I go any farther, I want to make sure that's actually 90 degrees. I think my angle finder fooled me. I think it hit 90 degrees and then started going the other direction, which is lame. But it's nothing I can't fix. But that's annoying. You would expect that it would just stay going the same direction. Yeah, I'm a little bit beyond 90 degrees. Probably about 1 degree. But I can fix that. I can just jam something down there and just bend it back out. But I mean, the bend looks great though. That didn't barely deform at all. So onward and upward. All right, let's try bend number 2. Pay a little more attention this time. Sorry if this is incredibly boring to you. It's incredibly nerve-wracking to me. I don't want to make too many mistakes. You gotta be shitting me. Guess I need to be faster. I can't move the camera around and leave it alone. I gotta guess. I'm gonna say that's probably pretty close. That is a little bit under. That stupid thing turned off right when I was gonna look at it, and it did get to 90 degrees and start going the other direction. That was absolutely stupid. Take these locks off and see if this thing sits flat. Not bad. I think it'll be okay. Move on to the next one. Alright, that's the first 2 pieces. The second one took a little bit of a corkscrew. It was only about 1/8 of an inch from end to end out of plane. I think that'll come out when I start welding it anyway. But the ends came out right on each other, so I'm really happy about that. Alright, I'm going to set up my next couple of bends here. And this next long one has an S curve right in the center of the tube. It just flares out where the driver sits. So I have to find the center and put a locking collar right in the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is bend this to about 45 degrees, then stop, take it out, turn it around, and bend it the opposite direction, and hopefully it ends up with 2 parallels and a nice S curve. Well, this is a crapshoot, really. I said I was going to try to do something easy, but this is not going to be easy. Okay, that's one. Not too bad. All right, let's take a look at this thing. Made a nice bend. It looks relatively parallel, but it definitely is not planing correctly, so I might have to try and put this in something and reef it straight. But, man, that looks pretty good. I just have to figure out a way to keep my indexing correct in that thing. I don't know what's going on with it. Okay, I figured it out. My die is not sitting straight in this frame. It's, well, you can see down the tube that it's shooting off that direction. And that little bit that it's off is what's causing it. I'll show you what it is. So this little bit is the problem. So I'm going to have to build a new frame for this so it'll stay straight. which is easy enough. So the second one came out dead nuts straight. So apparently I was just not paying attention. That still does not excuse the fact that the frame is not pushing the die straight, so I'll still want to replace that. But I have another piece of this, so I think I'm just going to try again, and I'll just cut this wonky spot out and just reuse the tubing for something else. Alright, success. The second one came out flat, so we can continue on. Alright, I got 2 more bends done. I did the fronts, and I just shot those off camera because they're the same as these. Now the back side is a little different. These 2 just come around and meet at the front. These ones back here come around and then they turn down 30 degrees to meet at the bottom rail. And I think I have a way to index those so they turn out right. So what I've done is lock the tube into my vise with the locking collar. And what I'm going to do is take my angle finder, stick it on the tube down here, and I'll unlock the locking collar, rotate it 30 degrees, and then lock it back down, and hopefully that'll give me my 30 degrees. So I decided to double check to make sure that this actually ends up 30 degrees. So what I did is I put my angle finder on my die, zeroed it out, and then I put it on the back here, and it came out to like 29.8. So that's close enough for me. I'm just going to roll with it, and whatever happens is whatever happens. Alright, I think I got it. They came out pretty even, so this is the general shape of what it's going to look like. It'll come down the front, and then these will meet up in the back, like that. And the front will be raised, but that's the general shape of it. That took 3 hours to make 4 bends. What a pain in the ass. So, I cut everything long, and I need to cut it down. And I'm going to use my table to figure out where I need to cut everything out. I didn't know when I bought this table what the grid spacing was, but the outside holes center to center is 20 inches, which just happens to be exactly what I designed my cart frames for. So it just happened to work out perfectly. Okay, I got them trimmed to size. Now I need to take my tube notcher and notch these at like 60 degrees so they match up to the bottom rail. Alright, here we go. I think I could get rid of that little piece right there. Continuing on. That's a really steep angle. Basically drilling through the entirety of the tube. There we go. Alright, do a little cleanup on this end here, and then we'll see how it fits up. Alright. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, that'll work. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to put some rosettes in the ends of these tubes, and that's just so that if you crack the weld where the 2 tubes come together, then they don't come apart. You probably already know that, so I'm explaining it for no reason. But anyway, just going to use this to put them in because it's easier that way. I did a little pre-assembly here just so you can see the rake is going to be on this. So it's going to kind of sit like that. about 2 degrees difference between the front and the back. Alright, I'm going to end this video here. This took a lot longer than I expected it to. It took almost a week because I was being so anal about not making any mistakes. So in the next video, I'll be cutting and putting in the bracing and starting to tack weld the thing together. So I'm sorry, you're just going to have to come back. Please come back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later, hopefully.